Oh. Boom. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, sleeping rainbows after rains. Tonight we're going to have a few poetry games. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Now I've got, tonight we've got some really special guests here out there in YouTube land. We've got TC, hang on, I've got to remember that, Tony, and TD, Terry. That's not so hard. People call me TC too, Thundercloud. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
TC, TD, S and D. Yeah. All right, here we are. Now, big things have been happening down there in Tamworth. They've got the long yard on and all the fantastic poets down there doing their great shows down there, all from memory, really, isn't it? None of them are reading. And there's greats such as Greg North, who else? Bill Kearns, Ray Essery, Paddy O'Brien, Greg, what's his name?
It was Greg North you mentioned. Also,
Gregory Graham, yeah,
yes,
him too.
And Bill Kearns from
Bill Kearns, Johnny Peel. So there's a whole lot of them down there. And plus all the ones that were in the, I've got to remember, Frank Daniels walk up, because he's not Jack, you drink him. The Frank Daniels walk up competition, and that was on yesterday and tomorrow, the two heats, and the finals on Friday. Now, the TC, and the TD were all in the heat one yesterday. So you've got a really special night tonight because you've got three, really pretty good poets here, definitely. And I've seen them all, so I know, yeah. And some of them, like the TC, you've been doing this for like, what, 30 years?
Well, I'm 77 now, so 27 years or something.
You're that old?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you keep your age well, don't you?
Rum and hot water, man.
A what?
Rum and hot water.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, all right, well, cool. But the other big thing that I really have to say is a massive big thank you to Chrissy from Ballarat. Not only did she send us a book today, but inside that book was a fantastic donation to the Australian Poetry Film Contest. Australian Poetry Film Contest, which is part of the Australian Poetry Film Festival. And I'm currently raising funds, so look in the description of this video for the GoFundMe link, because I need to raise $6,000 so that we can give decent prizes to all the filmmakers. But not only that, we can also attract more filmmakers and we can market it out there and get a really cool, big Australian Poetry Film Festival going. Now, you can look up on www.filmfreeway.com/Australian Poetry Film Contest. And I'll put the link also in the description as well. And you can click on that. And so, yeah, check that out. There's 3 categories this year: Best Australian Bush Poetry Film, Best Australian Poetry Film for just general poets or anything, poetry, and Best Student Bush Poetry Film. Now I know the students just bush poetry, but hey, let's encourage bush poetry, but I'm not a purist and I don't care as long as it's poetry. So yeah, huge thank you to Chrissy, to our other 2 donors who will remain anonymous as they wish. So thank you very much. We're sort of well and truly at almost 10% of our target at the moment, so that's a good thing. All right, so Chrissy also sent us this big thank you note. She saw one of my poems online, the Bandicoot, and it made her very happy. So she wrote this poem. Tuesday morning I did drive to a little place so fine, I turn the pages on this night, only to my delight. You sharing of your forest life, man, you're totally out of sight. Thundercloud, James Warren Boom, Australian Poetry Hall of Fame rocks. Love Chrissy. So thank you, Chrissy. You rock too. Very, 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 very muchly. Let's get on to some poetry. Now, the formalities, the informal formalities of the night, we will begin the night by recognising the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast. That would be the Kamilaroi and the Banby people, because it's a bit of a crossover place up here. And the continuing connection to the land that they have, or have their people. We'll also like to acknowledge all of our serving people that served in our forces to protect and to create our awesome way of life here in this fantastic country, lest we forget. All right, let's get on with it. Now, there's a bit of a controversy at the moment, isn't there, about like Australia Day? Because it's like, I don't know, well, it upsets some people. So why have it on any day that's going to upset them? Why not have it on a day that we all like agree on and get on together? But look, I think This Is Serious Mum really like summed it up with their song. This Is Serious Mum is the band from Melbourne, so their lyrics, so these are Australian lyrics. What are ya? You will have to excuse me because there is a bit of Australianism in this. You're a yabbo, you're a wanker, take your effing choice. So who is your favourite genius? James Hurdle, James Joyce, or James? You ever seen a live performance? Join the wanker club. I thought you meant tabletop dancing. You're a yabbo bub. What are you? Yabbo wanker. Wankers once used mobile phones, but now that's sort of changing. And yobs once lived in cottage homes. Ain't social change amazing? If a yob and wanker want a girl, the wanker guy will get her. Both of them are equally ugly, but the wanker hides it better. What are you? Yobbo wanker. And then there's some more of the chorus. I'm not going to just repeat all that. A wanker fights inequality and for people's rights. A wanker fights class prejudice, a yabbo just fights. Yabbo wanker, wanker ya hob, pass me the brush to tie ya. Make your choice, then live your life. Come on, pal, what are ya? What are ya? Yabbo wanker.
So you're also putting a lot of emphasis into performing, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think poetry, to perform it, it gets that across. And I think part of my experience in teaching English as a second language, being in front of a class of 20 people who didn't speak English, and having to get a message across, I have used a lot of body language. I also often use the voice modulation to make sure that the enunciation's clear, but also to be able to take on different personalities like this guy and this Sheila over here, and do that kind of stuff. So the dialogues. Yeah, that's social choice, that one. Look, I've got nothing to say about that really, and I don't care what people do, because for all intents and purposes, a libertarian. You're free to say what you want to do, free to do what you want to do. I just want to smell roses, or no, I just want to smell the sky, really. So yeah, Yobble Wanker. It's a bit of not a real new song, but it does. It really is like, where are we going? Really, like, let's all just get on. Who cares what people think? As long as they're not hurting anyone. So this one ends with an actual real truth. Last 3 words. Last line. Let's stick, by the way, my birthday's coming up in a few days. That'll be the 28th of January. Now, for so long in my life, there's so many people around me who get my birthday mixed up with Australia Day and stuff like that, you know? Like, yeah, anyway. Let's stick Australia Day on my birthday. Smoke cones and drink some beer. Then we can still have a public holiday early in the new year. Division and arguing makes no sense because we're one big community. Why keep Australia Day on a day that causes hurt, arguments and disunity? The 26th of January is divisive, so it's not such a bad idea to change Australia Day to some benign day, like the birthday of James, or the birthday of Wayno, Kylie Shazadazzle, or even Blue, the dingo crossed with a cattle dog who lives out around Uluru. Yeah, it makes no sense to have a day on a day of offence. When we all live together, let's get on together like ladies and gents. Instead of disharmony where we argue thinking we're right, because there is not one human being in Australia that is actually black or white. Right? I haven't ever seen one of you. They're sort of all different shades in between of grey and pink and red and brown and orange and sort of yellow and even blue when they're cold. Just an idea.
Green when I'm seasick.
The birthday of James, yeah. Anyway, so look, I would really love to invite Terry up now, Terry Dingwall. He's come all the way from
Doonside.
Doonside.
Upside Doon.
Doonside.
Where are you from, Terry?
Doonside.
Where's that?
Western Sydney.
All right.
Yep, that's good. I spent 20 years in the Air Force, and my brother and my 2 brothers and I were asked by my dad to all become doctors or lawyers. That way you become wealthy. So one joined the army, joined the SAS, one became a policeman and became a private investigator, and I joined the Air Force. That way you always know you follow your father's footsteps. So there's always been a bit of a, let's call it a bit of a contest between the Army and the Air Force. Where the Air Force guys are called the Brill Cream Boys. So I wrote this thing when I went on a camp, just comparing it with my brother. I wrote this just to rub the pain in a bit more. It's called the 14 Squadron Camp. The Army boys were ready to go up for a camp. All had a rubber ground sheet to use if it got damp. They had a tasty ration pack for to have a snack. If it lasted half a week, they were really, really slack. All had to share a candle to light them in the dark. Tents were for sissies when they had flints to make a spark. To light a cube of hexamine in mini camping stove, it really took a genius to cook the food they love. Each had to dig a slit trench just 50 inches deep, line it with some bracken so they could go to sleep. They lifted ice from puddles and sucked it like a lolly, for army guys are rough guys and jolly tough by golly. If they had to cover 20 miles, They did it on the run. They did it because their NCO thought it would be fun. 5 a.m. each morning, they washed and shaved their face, showered in ice-cold water to make their muscles brace. They used a cube of hexamine, another cup of tea, and just to keep their spirits up, they did some more PT. One day, they were gathered up to talk to their CO. Boys, you volunteered to guard an Air Force show. The boys all grumbled loudly it would be a bore. To secure an Air Force camp would be a ruddy chore. But starting sharp at 9 a.m, upon a field of grass, there came a C-130 after making one low pass. As it halted, 40 blokes came ambling slowly out. Not one sign of marching, they called no orders out. It really was a wonder what would fit inside a Herc. It nearly took an hour. Unloading is hot work. In something like another hour, they erected 20 tents, and each tent got a light bulb, if that makes any sense. 14 planes came swooping, each landed in their time. All the blokes left tenting and received them in a line. The pilots all joined the blokes, erecting a big marquee. A wonder to behold it was, and the mess tent it would be. The mighty Karcher kitchen, if smells were just a hunch, very shortly did the job of cooking tasty lunch. 2 guys did the plumbing, hooked to a handy tap, so they all had water to do the washing up. By using Air Force magic, we call it LPG. They had 2 taps, cold and hot, to make a cup of tea. They even had hot water in a tent for showers, with hot water for shaving, with basins, with a mirror. Next arrived a mini tanker from the nearby pub, so they could have cold beer after eating their hot grub. By 8 o'clock that evening, the mayor and council too feasted on cheese and wine with cake and hot food too. After the guests had all departed, the army boys drew round. All the food they scoffed, I say they gained some pounds. When army boys are gathered, some stories for to tell. All those hardly volunteered will tell the story well. Never ever volunteer, the same old lags will say. We just do it 'cause we're tough and do it come what may. We old guys have to do it for 2 weeks, I tell you it is hell. Air Force food is really crappy and it has a musty smell.
Yeah, I think the Air Force has got treated better than Army when it comes to food. Man.
Now, I spent 6 months in the Sinai Desert on the, what we call the MFO, the Multinational Force of Observers, on the Egypt and Israel border. So just since we got all the shenanigans going on now with bloody Hezbollah and co, I thought this one here might be a little aside to cheer things up. It's called Defence. The airfield at El Gora was surrounded by a chain link fence till the MFO took over when the Israelis departed hence. With another fence around the dump, next to the access road, our rubbish was dumped there by the effing loring load. We were told that in the old days, I don't think it was rot, that anyone touched the fence received a warning shot. If that shot didn't stop you, there was rocks inside your head. The next shot that was fired would surely shoot you dead. When the MFO came in to stay, as the old mob homeward went, 20 different nations were a committee of management. Along came Mr. Abdul on his camel, a purveyor of metal scrap. As he passed by on his camel, he gave that fence a tap. Nothing happened shooting-wise. Sorry, lost my voice. Nothing happened shooting-wise, so he had a hopeful look. Chain link was worth a fortune if you could flog it in the souk. With his Acme wire cutter, he purloined a goodly sample. If camel could carry a 10-yard roll, 11 would be ample. Off went Abdul with his camel, sometime near to noonish. He flogged it to all his friends, to his friend Farouk in the souk at El Arish. Abdul got a string of helpers, all the relatives from his clan, bought his new enterprise to borrow some fence again. The airmen on the airfield could only stand and watch as Abdul and his cronies burgled 100 yards at a stretch. When word did get to the OIC about the wire disappearing, when he got there to have a look, there was only an empty clearing. The guards were only authorised to shoot in self-defence. Abdul knew was happy thieving as long as no one took offence. Self-defence has a fatal flaw, as pointed out by someone. Abdul couldn't shoot you because Abdul had no gun. As word went round the officers of the MFO's many nations, The talk fest rambled onwards in discord and consternation. The fence around the rubbish dump was the next target for Abdul and his cronies to carry off to the market. The treasures of the rubbish dump appeared on Abdul's list, but plastic spoons and plastic knives could still be used a bit. Paper cups and paper plates and all our throw-out goods could be resold or just reused in the poorest neighbourhoods. To fix this little problem, the OIC scratched his head. He didn't want the peacekeepers to shoot poor Abdul dead. For once the old committee at last got something running. Considering this problem, they showed a little cunning. The dump truck did a U-turn and headed outward bound to a new spot in the desert on the way to town. Abdul and his camel train departed that very day, because a new dump in the desert, it was lots of miles away.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks, Terry. Terry's just done pretty much exactly one of the things that I really love about poetry. He's written personal experience and historical perspective together and using poetry. And I hope that will be published one day. And I'll tell you why, because just over here we've got the Australian Poetry Library and Archive that's now pushing around about 2,500 books, of which there's 450 books there donated by a wonderful man, Jeffrey Doyle, who's moved to Armidale, and he was a lecturer and specialist in war poetry at Sydney University, ADFA in Canberra. So what you've done is really, really, really super important. Like, I cannot understate the historical importance of your work there in particular. And is it published yet? Great, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. And so yeah, particularly even getting a copy down into the War Museum or whatever it is in Canberra down there as well. So okay, I just did the really bad thing and said an got to stop doing that because I just do, because that's called a filler word. And a pause is better, they say. So I'll just take a deep breath. I'm going to do the poem that I did down there yesterday, the Henry Lawson, The Water Lily. It's a really powerful poem and the imagery is really awesome. The Water Lily. A lonely young wife in her dreaming discerns a lily-decked pool with a border of ferns, and a beautiful child with butterfly wings trips down to the edge of the water and sings, "Come, Mama, come! Quick, follow me! Step out on the leaves of the water lily." And the lonely young wife, her heart beating wild, cries, "Wait till I come, till I reach you, my child." But the beautiful child with butterfly wings steps out on the leaves of the lily and sings, "Come, Mama, come! Quick, follow me! Step out on the leaves of the water lily." And the wife, in her dreaming, steps out on the stream, but the lily leaves sink and she wakes from a dream. Oh, her waking is sad for the tears that it brings, for she knows 'tis a dead baby's spirit that sings, "Come, Mama, come! Quick, follow me! Step out on the leaves of the water lily." Yeah, it's a great poem. Of all of the Henry Lawson that I've read up until 1895, it's his best and most beautiful poem. If anyone could write a poem as beautiful as that, it's actually his mum. Louisa Lawson, because she was a fantastic poet in her own right and wrote some really lovely poetry, was really well metered and rhymed and that kind of stuff. Never be afraid to speak your mind. At times you're required to be cruel, to be kind and prickly, because the truth often hurts. Dogmatic preachers at the pulpit of life's church, with opinion based not on fact, causing grief, blinded by hearsay, repeating others' beliefs, never critiqued but accepted as fact, those triggered by questions and who overreact. Say what you need to say, do what you do, don't let the derision of others affect you. Always tell your truth, even if it causes strife. It's easier than living with a lie in your life. The opinion of others don't matter if you're true and you say what you need to say and do what you do. At times you're required to be cruel, to be kind. Don't bottle it up or be afraid to speak your mind.
What's the name of that?
I'm going to call that Never Be Afraid to Speak Your Mind. It's my own, yeah. It was written 4 days ago. Yeah. I often, these kinds of things come to me in meditation, often at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like I'll be up there sitting and I'll be I get up at 5, I go up there and I get up there around about 20 past, I'll sit down, I'll start my breathing, I'll do that, I'll do my yoga, and somewhere during often in there as these words will come in and I've just got to write them down and then I'll do that and I'll continue. Here's some Thundercloud quotes. Those who sulk when they hear something that they don't like must have been smacked with a rainbow when they were a little tyke. When you take your bat and ball home because you don't like the outcome of the game, shame. Another one. Those who storm off and cry are the ones responsible when relationships die. If you don't like what I say, that's your problem. Have a nice day. Another one. There are times when everyone gets bit, and the choice is whether to let it affect you or just get over it. I got bit by a dog over here last year in June. Those who rarely, that's it. Look, they're my Thundercloud quotes. What I would like to do now is to open the stage to Tony, TC. Yeah, TD is been TC. And please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from too, Tony, up there in Goodna, isn't it? Yeah. Did you flood in the floods?
Yep.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah. 2011 over the roof, 2022, whatever, just this summer. So we're renting, we haven't been back, Anyway, it happens. No big deal. Yeah. Okay, my name's Tony Caswell. Most people call me TC because of the initials, obviously. I got involved with poets. As I said, I wrote my first poem. How that came about was I had a job as a psychiatric nurse, and we're doing what we used to call category red, highly suicidal patient. So the patient would be in bed and you'd be in the room with him. If he rolled over, you just went over to make sure he wasn't trying to hurt himself or cut himself. If he went to the toilet, you went to the toilet. Anyway, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going like this. He's sleeping peacefully, and the kids want to give me a 50th birthday party. And I said, I'll write a speech just to keep my mind alert. I came out with a 15-verse poem. The closest I ever got to poetry was listening to Slim Dusty songs. Yeah. And since then I've been writing poetry. If it goes away, I don't care because I've done it. It's opened up a whole new world, because most of my mates sit around talking about the old football days and stuff, and I'm out meeting new people. It's opened, as I said, it's opened up a whole new world. So it's good. Now, military, so I'll just come back to military. I actually have the honour every year at Goodna of doing a poem for Anzac Day. But in the last 10 years, 11 years or something, the state school have asked me to do. So I try and do one for the kids and one for the main service. So this is just, I've done a couple, but I guess just in military, then I'll go on to something else, okay? This is called, how this came about was, my daughter's over in England. She rang up, whatever time, 6 o'clock in the morning, I picked up the phone. She was depressed and crying. I'm crying because I'm paying for the phone bill. But I had this word, can you feel the pounding waves? And luckily I had a pen and a biro and notebook beside me. And then I call this, can you be proud? Can you smile at heartaches as you leave? Can you wipe tears from a face? Can you know how they grieve as you travel to a dangerous place? Can you hear the cannons roar? Can you feel the pounding waves? Can you recall mates gone before, sliding into watery graves? Can you surge with wind on wings? Can you fly like a bird in air? Can you dream of pleasant things, preventing thoughts of despair? Can you hold a steady rifle? Can you find safety in a hole? Can you hate and anger stifle from a war that destroys your soul? Can you comfort by a bed? Can you feel wounded pain? Can you count lost numbers dead before you face their fears again? Can you settle on returning home? Can you answer a puzzled stare? Can you quell the urge to roam while suffering flashbacks from over there? Can you allow yourself to be proud? Can you on Anzac Day stand tall? Can you see the watching crowd thanking men and women who gave their all? So that's a little military thing. Now, this is probably the more me. I enjoy drink, and one day I was out all night and didn't get home. Mate of mine, all my mates' fault, it's never my fault. I rang from my mate's place and the missus said, where are you? And I was like, oh geez, I'm in trouble. So I was actually walking home, it was about 5 k's walking home. And I had a notebook and I scribbled. And when I got home, well, you know, so it's called A Pot of Tea and Misguided Me. Where you been? What have you been doing? Something tells me I'll be doing some ruin. I've been worried sick, pacing the floor all night. Even your flaming canines are getting uptight. Now just settle down, love, everything's fine. If your mobile's in range, I would have given you a line. It's all my mate's fault. I didn't give you a call. They had me tied to the bar. Reckon I was going to fall. I know I've done the wrong thing. Been out all night on the grog. Now I'm slinking home like a cringing mongrel dog. 'Cause I'm a fair dinkum snag. I can understand being upset. Might have to nick some flowers to show I care for my little pet. Well, I'm back home where I belong, back at our place. Outstretched arms, a spring and a snap and a smile on my face. Me heart full of love for my darling, a burning desire. Only be met by a hateful glare, snarling dogs and strands of barbed wire. I was confident the chill would go and warmth through the house would spread. Don't think you're sleeping with me, you drunk, you swagged out in the shed. Being a typical Aussie bloke, I take the tongue lashing with a grin and a smile, knowing lover boy will soon be back in action, making a life worthwhile. But now, for now, I'm keeping a low profile, ducking my head as I should. Hope she'll look at her lovable larrikin and only see the good. My ego's not important. It's her emotions that should come to the fore. Don't I just spoil my little treasure, the one that I adore? Well, the sun's high in the sky, I got my foot edging through the back door. The body's hurting from a long walk home and the head's aching and sore. First move will be, no words said, and make her a fresh pot of tea, then hope she'll understand and forgive poor little misguided me. And that's a true story. True story.
Well delivered.
Okay, can I do another? Or?
Yeah, please. Go for it.
Okay. Funny how things come to you. It was at a funeral. And it wasn't a church, it was a parlour. So you waited outside, then you went into the parlour. And where do people get together again? Relatives and that? Weddings and funerals. And I heard this person say, oh, you're looking good. So while the service was on, I actually sat there and wrote, because it's just come in my mind, you know. Yeah. You're looking good for someone that's dying. No sense whinging, don't start your crying. Don't you realise you're facing your death the moment you take your very first breath? So enjoy the journey while you have the chance. Don't ignore the music. Make sure you sing and dance. Get on life's highway. Savour the trip. Acknowledge the high. Challenge the dip. Delight in the daylight. Feel warmth from the sun. Laugh at the negatives. Search for the fun. Marvel at the moon. Find comfort in the night. There'll be fears to face. Overcome your fright. Feel proud of yourself. If not, maybe you should. Oh, by the way, did I tell you that? You're looking good.
All right, you got some more for us in a moment there, Terry? Yeah. Excellent. All right. Oh, 2, 1, here we go. Now, this was, I've got this book that sort of, what do you call it? It's a book of artistic inspiration. It's random stuff on pages that ask questions or whatever. This one said, imagine going for a walk in a special place. Where are you? What can you see? What makes it so special? When were you last there? When will you go again? And the result. I went for a walk in a special place. It's a place that you don't know. And what I saw was amazing. I'm not telling you though. The reason it is special, well, I'm not going to tell you. When I left the place, it was 1:45. I'll go there again, but I won't tell you though. If I drew a sketch, then of course you would know. It's big and open, there are wide blue skies, kangaroos, ducks and emus, plus a hell of a lot of blowflies. But I'll show you my special place, sitting under a tree where there is wide open space, if you'll come for a walk with me.
That's it.
Yeah, if you check out the Mother of Ducks Lagoon down there, it's a lovely place. In fact, one of the really good things about it is there's this, well, it's not a really good thing, it's this fake wall that they built around a third of it. You can walk along one side of it and see lots and lots of birds, but if you put on a pair of jeans, and it's not really the weather for that, you can actually follow this like narrow goat track in the long grass with the black snakes and the brown snakes. And on the other side, that side, it's just 3 times as many birds. It's like birds galore because they all seem to stay on the far side of the lagoon, probably so they don't get hit by golf balls or looked at because they're shy. Now, I think I might ask, 1985. Let's talk about 1985. So some of the things that were happening at that time, well, Bruce Springsteen was doing a tour. Young children are dying unnecessarily because of poorly labelled toys. Anyway, this was from a whole lot of newspaper clippings from 1985. In 1985, it was great to be alive. Capitalism thrived in 1985. The boss sang, "I'm on fire." For pen pals, a soldier inquired. Microprocessors in push-button doors, the beginning of the end of the Cold War. Ned Kelly's pistol was returned. Steel and tube, 42% profit earned in 1985. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So the backstories with that, yeah. The pen pals, 4 pen pals, a soldier inquired. So there was inside the newspaper clipping a little letter from an American ex-serviceman to kids in Australia, and he had some kids in some school over there and they wanted pen pals. Yeah. There was also an article about microprocessors in push-button doors, and they just installed in some building in 1985 these, the push buttons that you'd actually a pin pad so you could go in a door. Ned Kelly's pistol was returned as well. It had been stolen and it was from the old Melbourne jail, and it had been lost for 9 years when the police found it in a drug raid on the Sunshine Coast, I believe. And so I'm writing to the Sun to find out if it is possible to have our young school children here correspond with the school children in your fair, and I've cut off the rest of that. So yeah, that's some of the cool things. The last part of that, there was also an article somewhere about the beginning of the end of the Cold War. Oh, no, it was a treaty or something they'd signed about arms reduction, something like that. Or a
START treaty.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. Yes, you're right. Yes. Would you like to come on up? TD, Terry Dingwall. And the funny thing is, I went to Marucci High School and there was someone there called Susan Dingwall. Well, this fella, he's related somehow. Yeah. But not only that, but his lady friend here is also Susan A.
Right, continuing with the military stuff, I suppose. This is called. Just pop that up a little high for you. Okay. This is called Scarabs. In every battle that was ever fought, one side's hopes have come to naught. The fields are strewn with those who died, for death has scattered them far and wide. For a few more hours, peace has come with this long, slow sink of setting sun. Peace has come to Friedrich and Fred. Is this peace Friedrich's, or is it Fred's? Lying there in awkward poses, bodies pierced with blood-red roses. Who will come in the cloak of night to bury those lost in honour bright? They bury them fast to hide the smell of those re-exhumed by bomb and shell. We must learn a lesson from the past. There is no rest while battles last. Some men lived and some men died. Death delivered no matter your side. It is the victor's job on the battlefield to clean up the mess that their weapons yield. There is no pausing for a eulogy, no time to pray while the bugles bray. In the morning, day, you can't hold your breath, for friend and foe share the smell of death. When old soldiers tell us their stories, how they fought for honour and glory, so who were those who used the night to clear the stage for the next day's fight? There are no medals for that awful task. Few choose to remember, and fewer will ask. Now I'm a bit of a motorcycle nutbag, so this is called A Tired Tale. An old guy on his old bike was leaving Sydney town. To meet his mate in Brisbane, they'd go the long way round. He threw some bits and pieces in a satchel round his neck, strapped on his swaggin' blanket, though ragged and old as heck. The tappets were adjusted, the primary chain was tight. One pannier had his spanners with a spare bulb for the light. The spare tube went in one side, the patch kit on the other, plus a roll of gasket paper if the engine gave him bother. As he set off up the freeway, he was passed by some young bloke pulling off a wheelie in a cloud of tyre smoke, jeering, "I'll be up in Brisbane before the close of day," as his flying form diminished, dotwards, far away. The old guy didn't hurry. He'd seen it all before. Each day the bikes that passed him numbered near 80. But somewhere out near Gloucester, on a dodgy old back track, he met the same young bugger, broken down and stopped. "Alas, my brand new tyre, though just fitted by the shop, I've burned right through the covers, all the air outside has got. My new smartphone is useless, there's no reception here. How can I get assistance? No bike shops anywhere. My expensive racing tyre, mere $600 a pop, can only be ordered entire by the expensive tyre shop. The last time that I ordered one, I had to wait a week. I guess my journey's ended if I don't get the help I seek." Said the old guy, "If you bother to prepare for breaking down, you could one day be a biker, not a bloody clown. I will get you home, son, if you still want to ride. You only have to reckon the problem of your pride." The old boy stopped his engine, leaned his old bike on its stand. He reached into a saddlebag and surfaced with tools in hand. His pliers in a minute split the drive chain at the link. Looked carefully at the tyre, took a minute to think. "Look up on the tyre wall, your wheels are 15-inch. I think we can fix the problem, it'll be no cinch." He asked the lad to tilt the bike and laid it on the tar seal, undid a mob of nuts and bolts, pulling free the wheel. He told the youth to hold the wheel perched on his pillion and to hold it pretty tightly, considering his position. He carried him down the road to a lady's farm nearby, then knocked upon a door when she asked the old man why. "I want to buy the spare wheel on that derelict Ford Falcon. I think that I can use it to repair this young man's wagon." The farmer let them have it if they'd shared a cup of tea. They even used her workshed to change the tyre for free. A couple of hours later, the wheel was back on bike. The young bloke told the oldster, "I'll pay you if you like. If you ride a little slower, that's pay enough for me. Let's go down the road together and share a beer or 3.
There you go.
As a man, I do have a gender. I always felt it was one of my roles to serve. I wrote this for I had it with my youngest son in mind really. His name's Sasha. Called Sasha Seahorse. Sasha Seahorse was thought of as strange. Sasha Seahorse believed he could bring about change. "I'm Sasha Seahorse, a nurturing man. I give my love and serve freely just because I can." One full moon night the sea became rough. A cyclone hit the reef and sea life was tough. A ship became wrecked and stuck on the reef. Sasha Seahorse could see this would cause grief. Sasha Seahorse said, "I can help when there's strife. I can bring about change by saving one life. Just one seahorse can bring about change. I'm a nurturing seahorse and this isn't strange." So Sasha Seahorse swam into the deep, darkest part of the ocean where the dolphins sleep. He woke all the dolphins and said, "Come with me, we've sailors to save from the cyclonic sea." They swam to the reef and they looked about. Then they heard a sailor give a stricken shout. So the dolphins swam over and picked up the man, swam him through the storm to the dry land. Sasha Seahorse said, "I can help when there's strife. I can bring about change by saving one life. Just one seahorse can bring about change. I'm a nurturing seahorse, and this isn't strange." They rescued all the sailors, working through the night. Sasha Seahorse coordinated the rescue and helicopter flight. Not one life was lost and everyone was saved. Sasha Seahorse got a medal for being so brave. Sasha Seahorse said, "I can help when there's strife. I can bring about change by saving one life. Just one seahorse can bring about change. I'm a nurturing seahorse and this isn't strange." there's a bit of backstory with that, and I'm not sure if you know, but in the seahorse world, the male seahorse carries the eggs and does the whole pregnancy stuff. So yeah, that's how it is. Just that. Yeah. So that one, terror. Tony. Okay. Thank you, Tony. And I really liked your war one that you did too. That was a great tribute. Thank you.
The funny thing about getting up to do poetry, I never know what I'm going to do. But I'm going to do one which I never done, and because Australia Day coming up and all that sort of stuff, I've had a friend ask me if I'd do a few poems for a retirement village. So I went to I'm involved with the Logan Performing Poets Association, organised by a lady called Jerry King at Beenleigh. And they had a day, and I had an old convict suit for when we went on holidays to Norfolk Island. So I wore that, and this idea came to me called the Happy Convict. And if I stuff up, well, I stuff up. When just an innocent lad, I planned an exciting career, one that would hold me in good stead, year after year after year. Being the observant son, I observed my family's need, so I took home a loaf of bread, which they could gratefully feed. But the bobbies caught after me and said what I did was wrong, because our jails are filled to the brim, we're going to have to move you along. That's when this thought came to me. Maybe I'd go away on a trip. I couldn't really believe my luck, travelling overseas on a sailing ship. While me and my newfound friends landed at a place they call Down Under. Different to smoggy old Blighty was an island of droughts, floods, fires and thunder. It was here I learnt the perks of the convict role, some of which I'll gladly disclose. No worries about my clothing, no worries about my appearance, because I don't have to buy any clothes. No need for weights or cardio training. I don't need membership to a gym. Cutting timber and smashing rocks all day keeps me hard, muscular and slim. Mental health is not a concern as I scavenge around for food, because I'm told the small servings of slops will greatly improve my mood. And as for accommodation, I don't have worry or care. It must be a very popular place, very crowded, little rooms to spare. And I'll know I'll never get lost. No matter wherever I go, I know I'll always be found, because I have a chain and ball in tow. Although I do have a complaint about the tattoos they cut on my skin, but then they kindly explain it's only because I've done a sin. So when it's all said and done, it's not too really bad a life. So when my 7 years holiday is finished, I may just get myself an Aussie wife. Yeah. As I said, I never know what I'm going to do, but when you mentioned just the thing I did about the war, I done this other one. It came about, went to a lecture of a mate of mine who's in SAS, and we walking around somewhere, we're seeing graves, unmarked graves. So the idea come to me, called Who Are You? Who are you? Where did you serve? Is this your fate? It's not what you deserve. You defended the empire. You discharged your gun as our nation grew in freedom under an Australian sun. And when you returned, what did you bring back? Was your mind at ease? Was it under attack? And when you couldn't settle and memories wouldn't rest, caring others did what they thought was best. You were sent to a place that had a doctor and nurse. Did you find serenity or another reason to curse? Or were you like many, left alone to fend on a downward spiral that knew no end? And when life was finished, where did you go? Were records kept so others would know? So who are you, gravestone 8673? In this final resting place, no name do I see. What about your little grave marker 6281? Just another pile of bones, once a grieving mother's son. I'm sure you are hardy, I'm sure you are game. So how can I honour you, a man in a grave with no name? You would have been, that's about the first war blokes, a lot of them came back. Okay, so that, now as I say, I never know what I'm going to do. What do you think of the shirt?
Yeah, I wanted you to mention that.
Okay, well, I'm pretty snappy.
Yeah.
Had an old girlfriend walked out on me, she said, you're nothing but a bloody mug lair. Now, you know what a mug lair is?
No.
You don't. It's an old Australian thing. Geez, mate, you're a mug lair, aren't you?
Yeah.
Think of Fonzie from Happy Days. Or the bloke drives down the street with his arms turned up, muscles, g'day girls. The bloke who's up himself.
Right.
So I call this a mug lair. I've been called a mug lair, by those who are jealous and slow. Not my fault they no get up and go. Well, they've energy to burn and plenty of tow. I can't help being smart and good looking. There's no way I'll be trapped by feminine cooking. I won't put up with winnings and whining or sooking. They want my time, they'd better start booking. I pity those girls who like to chase. Them poor darlings can't keep the pace. Don't they know it's an unwinnable race? For not a one can match my style and grace. I have a stomach that's muscular and flat. On my body not an ounce of fat. Don't the oogling women lust after that? And aren't I the one when it comes to the chat? My body secretes odours that cause women to swoon. They want my loving from midnight to noon. A kiss from me sends them shielders over the moon. And they melt at my feet when I croon a tune. Whatever you've done, I've done it before. When in the company of others, never the bore. Medals and trophies I'll have by the score. I'm just one of those blokes you love to adore. And those in the know says unfair that this dasher gets more than his share. But I don't really worry or care, because nothing upsets this deluded mugler.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about these open poetry nights. So, you get so much variety and entertainment all at once. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, Tony. Wow, that's cool. I reckon Terry looks like he's got another one there very soon, eh? By the looks of him, he's going through. All right, look, this is one. All right, yeah, this is one I. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. This is one I wrote when I first got here about Tinga, except I've lost it. Well, I'll just go here. Sorry, apologies, really. Here we are. It's called Tinga Billy. I do pretty much know this off by heart, so let's see how I go. Tinga Billy was a farmer, and he planted trees along his creeks and gullies, and he pulled out weeds. As a lad, Billy's dad sent him off to school. He studied every day as Billy was no fool. When he graduated Ag College, he went home with a plan to lend a hand to Dad to regenerate the land. He planted fields of native yam between the forest stands, finger lime and gumby. Tinga Billy's plan was grand. Tinga Billy carried water from the creek to grow the trees. The summer sun had scorched the earth, brought drought and disease. A plague of feral pigs led by the mighty bull, ripped up seedlings by their roots, dug the forest floor. The yams were gone, the limes were trampled, gumby too. Tinga Billy knew just what Billy had to do. Tinga Billy got real mad. He ran home and got his gun. He said, "Come on, Dad, the pigs are here. Let's go and have some fun." Well, the pigs bolted through the pumpkin field as they pulled up in the truck. Billy told his dad, "I'm going to fix this muck." He lifted up his rifle and took a careful aim. Little did Tinga Billy know of his approaching fame. The monster boar charged as Tinga Billy pulled the trigger. The rifle didn't fire and the boar grew bigger and bigger. He jumped up on the ute and he grabbed a rope. Tinga Billy knew it was his only hope. He leapt and threw his rope and he caught the mighty boar. 200 kilos of wild boar gave a mighty roar. He leapt upon its back, the boar took it in its stride, bolted off through the bush with Tinga Billy through the countryside. Through the scrub it bolted, but Tinga Billy had a grip. The mighty boar took Billy on a mighty bush bash trip. Tinga Billy's only hope was to wear that bull down. His grip grew tight as that bull headed into town. Through Darby's Creek, left Diamond Street, Opal Street, then to Ruby Street, and he'd be still going next week if Arnie Dot hadn't heard him shriek. He rode fast past the Wing Hing Long Museum. A bus load of tourists cheered to see him. He went viral on a Facebook and COVID Zoom stream that made the whole world laugh and hysterically scream. Tinga Billy was just about to shoot to frame as Arnie Dot raised a rifle and took a careful aim, squeezed the trigger and shot that mighty boar right up the pass. In Gyra Road the boar slowed but didn't die fast. Tinga Billy almost got halfway to Gilgai before that mighty boar finally collapsed to die. It jumped off the road to avoid a truck into Bluebeard's Gully where it finally got stuck. Well, this was Tinga Billy's very lucky day. He got down from the mighty boar and he yelled, "Yippee! I got a monster boar for dinner." And when things looked dire, Tinga Billy looked down and found a monster sapphire. Well, when things looked dire, I landed in a ditch. I'll have roast pork for dinner, and this sapphire makes me rich. And that's the story of how Tinga Billy shot to fame when he rode a wild boar 5 miles and staked a mining claim.
There you go.
And that was really written in 2020 when I first got up here, and that was, because I wanted to write about these places up here. And I thought, well, let's write about Tinga. What's out there? Oh, lots of boars, I've heard, pigs and stuff. So let's write about it. Have you got another one for us, Terry?
I'm just trying to... I got one missing.
Fun to write from the show.
Yeah.
I've got 2 here.
Okay. So Terry's got 2, and then I'll come on up if you've got another one, or we'll...
Yeah, I've got more if you
All
want.
right,
It's
cool.
up to you.
Yeah. We'll do a couple more each.
There's an old word, call it Joe. When you're having a morning tea, most Air Force people just call it Joe. It's called the Joe Room. There's a place at which we gather when our asses need a rest. It did not really matter if the whole setup looked a mess, though the couch is battered with half its cover ripped. If the truth was telling, it was rescued from the tip. The fridge is leaky, old and rusty, and has a dodgy door. Carpet is all threadbare, with mothholes by the score. The pin-ups on the walls are faded by UV from the sun. Likewise the ancient comics, with half the covers gone. The speaker to the line hut was already old in World War II. Roof still has soot stains from the old potbellies flew. It's a quiet room for tired lads, their tired souls to rest. To joke and laugh the day away, it surely meets the test. If walls can speak of brotherhood, of mateship and of pain, they could tell 1,000 stories, crack bad jokes once again. Is where the young and ignorant could learn a sense of pride, transforming into teammates who stood strong side by side. You could touch on any subject of pride and of remorse, for in these walls were trusted mates who listened to your voice. If you won a game of uckers or had cause to celebrate, it didn't change your status. These guys were all your mates. At any time you needed help, felt sad or wanted cheering, the jokers in the Joe room with bad jokes would have you grinning. It all came down in spades amid the smiles and corny jokes. You really were good mates with all these girls and blokes. When a voice came on the speaker of planes approaching fast, we all got off our asses because Joe time, rest had passed. When you've been out from the forces for 50 years, you become an old codger and people start falling off the perch right and left. It's called the passing of a friend. I heard it told in passing that a year ago today, a friend had left the planet, in spirit, passed away. I'd had no inkling, no dream had crossed my path, that someone that I cared for had simply ceased to breathe. Those times we shared of old, in the fullness of our youth, we thought ourselves invincible. We were young gods in truth. In all our idle moments, in a spring where time stands still, we thought we'd live forever, all seeking one more thrill. But as the years blew by, we were seeking a lifetime mate. So friends just took a back seat when true love seals your fate. But friendships don't vanish, though the years have intervened. When you catch them up in passing, there is no void between. Once more we see so clearly those moments from the past. We thought we'd both forgotten, in which we all took part. Though the tales are oft repeated of races lost and won, they still brought lasting pleasure because we were having fun. I did not have to be there to show that I'd have cared, to bid a fond farewell with my face all wet with tears. Old friends will joke together with every gasping breath, laughing with each other because that bloke called death has never had the pleasure that I shared with my friend, of building up a friendship that simply has no end. So I smiled and savoured memories of pleasures, great and small, that brought their face to mind before their curtain call. If I can but leave just one man to smile and call me friend, when it's my turn to exit, it's an okay way to end.
I don't know when this one was written. Yes, I do. November last year in Dreamland. I live in many different universes, in many frequency bands. I close my eyes to visit them when I enter Dreamland. In one, I'm the president of the world and there's no war. In another, I'm imprisoned for killing 900 people or more by convincing them to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And I enjoy the universe I live where I'm a billionaire, self-made. In one parallel universe, I have a total of 16 wives. When I dream at night, I can experience my parallel lives. And on that one, the one here that says, the line, in another, I'm in prison for killing 900 people or more by convincing them to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. There's a bit of a backstory to that, right? So my full name is James Arthur Warren, and back in 1974 there was a fella in Guyana who convinced 800 people to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. His name was Jim, aka James Warren Jones. So we share the two same names, yeah. So that's why I popped that one in there. I am not Jim Jones, yeah. Do you want to just watch that can of Coke, okay? No, really.
Well, funny about that cup of tea you made is
It had a tangy sort of a medley taste. Yeah. Oh, that was a Barry's Irish tea, and definitely it's one of the yummiest strong teas around. You got another one for us, Tony? Yeah. Great. And we'll call it a day after that, or a night.
Okay, what, 1, 2, 3?
Oh, two will do. Yeah.
Okay. Terry, you mentioned about getting old or something like that, you know. Okay, this one I'm going to do. I was watching a movie one night, and when they're going through all the credits, and they had music sort of thing going through with the credits, and there's a beat to it. So I sat there and wrote this thing. It's called Live Your Life. The other reason I've done it is we're trying to get young people into poetry. And because some people said to me, it's not poetry, no, I don't care. See, I'm lucky, I don't care, you know. So live your life. I'm getting old, but that's no crime. I'm good as I was back in my prime. I can cut the rope, I can do the jive. These old bones are still alive. As for my brain, it won't smooth. The green neurons, they grow and grow. When it comes to style, full of flair, with some class right up there. I'm in the groove, full of love. Lucky ones, a gift from above. I don't pay cops, I don't prefer your tea. Our society is a place to be. I fit in, I'm okay. I'm on this earth for a very short stay. So live your life and smell a rose. What lies ahead, who bloody knows? Yo, what lies ahead, who bloody knows?
Yes.
Now, clickety click. This is one I haven't never done. You know, you do it in your head sometimes, but I've never actually got up and do it, and I might do it. We're in the country, talking about your pig and all that, you know. This is called Early Days on the Farm. I was brought up with a cattle, not a cattle farm, dairy farm. Now, you Air Force, there's a nice little holiday camp called Canungra for the military, the army. Well, I lived at Wonglepong, which is, in those days, just a, you know, now it's multi-millionaire country because all the horse people have gone out there. And, so I haven't done this before. It's called Early Days on the Farm. When just a young boy back down on the farm, led life full of adventures for many possibilities for harm. This didn't stop me from doing some mighty foolish things. Maybe I did earn that dreaded whip with its cutting stings. During the week was all work with nary a chance to play. Before and after school, milking the cows and feeding the pigs each day. Then out collecting branches and chips to stoke up the house on fire. After chopping up ironbark sleepers, causing the boy to quickly tire. On cold frosty mornings, barefooted across the paddock we'd go. Numb were our legs, not a feeling than we of stubbing a toe. Shame we didn't take time to marvel at the beauty of breaking dawn. Too busy kicking the cow in the belly, claiming a spot to keep our feet warm. Racing each other from the boundary gates back to the cowyard bales. The horses with bolts and manes are flying and outstretched tails. No whips were needed, no spurs to their side. Both rider and steed having joy in its thunder and stride. Down at the back of the furrowed fields was a creek running clear, plunging into its cooling depths without a trace of fear. Daring each other to leap from the highest spot, hardships were quickly forgotten as we escaped from the heat stinking hot. Sneaking next door on hands and knees to sample sweet sugar cane. When the cousins told the old man, didn't we suffer the pain? But that could do nothing to dampen our spirits stubborn and wild. For living on the land, we quickly matured to adult from child. Though I now live in the city, my thoughts still travel far. Back to the time when I learnt to drive tractor, long before car. And I look at my children, restricted by city rules and policy, wondering will they be allowed to develop a spirit as free as me.
So I love that part of the world in behind the Gold Coast, right?
Yeah. They call it Gold Coast hinterland now. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Mum and Dad spend a lot of time out in the Kerry Valley there in a little Airbnb that they love. Well, I guess the show's just about over, or it is all but over. I suppose we'll end with a Spike Milligan quote or poem for the night. I was going to end with, today I saw a little worm wriggling on its belly. Perhaps he'd like to come inside and see what's on the tally. But I thought, nah, I like Tony's shirt. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. Watch out, you'll set the jungle alight. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and actually, here I have on here, there is the tiger and the dragon. It's a Chinese story. When the tiger and the dragon meet, there'll be lots of fighting. When the tiger and the dragon meet, there'll be thunder and lightning. Boom! I'm Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. Say, give it a thumbs up. Write poetry in the comments, and I'll catch you next week here from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. See you later. Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a big thank you to our two poems,
Thank you.
Tony and Terry. Yeah, wonderful tonight to have a big change to the other poets that are usually here that are not here. So fantastic. Glad you could make it, because it would have been pretty boring with just me over here.
As we say, no big deal.